Hello, everybody. Welcome back to our second forum. If you were here on Tuesday, you already know how this works, but I will just break it down in case. So we have prepared questions for all of our candidates, but we will also be asking some questions submitted by you, the audience, throughout the session. So if you have any questions for our candidates, please submit it either through the chat or by pressing the Q&A button at the bottom of your screen. When you're asking your questions, please make sure to note who it is for. And just a reminder to our candidates, as we get on stage, please keep your responses to a minute. There are quite a few of you today and we have a lot of questions, so we want to make sure we have enough time for all of that. And now I'll pass it over to Bridget to kick this off.
Thank you, Alicia. I believe we're just waiting for the candidates for the CSU Vice President, Equity and Sustainability to come up on stage. Hi, can you hear us?
Yes, I can.
Perfect, thank you. I believe that is the only candidate we have here today. There are two for the position. So we'll just start off. Could you please introduce yourself, your pronouns, and let us know why you'd be a good candidate for the CSU Vice President, Equity and Sustainability position?
Absolutely. Thank you so much for moderating this event and for asking these questions. My name is Mackenzie Gibson. I am the current Vice President of Equity and Sustainability at the Capilano Students Union. I was elected in a by-election in October, so this is my first full election that I'm running in. Over the course of my term so far, I have been so overwhelmed with pride at everyone's willingness and dedication to make the world a better place, regardless of, oh yeah, I guess I should turn on my camera. There we go. Thank you. I didn't realize I didn't happen automatically. I'm sorry. But I've been so overwhelmed with pride at everyone's dedication to making the world a better place. It's really empowering to see people who legitimately care so much. That being said, I did get elected in a by-election, and therefore a lot of my hopes and goals for what I can contribute to the Capilano Students Union hasn't really had the opportunity to come to fruition since I wasn't part of the full annual planning for our priorities. And in our time moving forward, I specifically want to focus on creating more opportunities for students who are using drugs either recreationally or have a substance abuse issue. I want to work on expanding accessibility to think of those people we're not accommodating, but who aren't regularly thought of. I want to really expand Capilano's capabilities to accommodate and assist rehabilitation for people who are students that are currently or have recently been incarcerated. And beyond that, I am also interested in assisting students that have a history or are currently involved in sex work and need some discrete ways to keep themselves safe while continuing their education.
Thank you. And the next question we have today is, how will you support students with disabilities during the COVID-19 recovery?
Absolutely. So I am speaking from a place where I am a disabled student. I have type 1 diabetes and I have asthma. So I've been very, very hypervigilant towards COVID-19. I have been continuously advocating for the adoption of hybrid classes. I am so happy about our current availability for rapid testing available to students, just picking it up at the CSU desk in the library. I believe it's in the library. Someone correct me if it's a different desk. But my primary thing is making sure that the people who need to choose between their education and their health don't need to make that choice, because I'm asked to make that choice every day. I'm always leaning on the side of more precaution, seeing as how, wearing a mask is something that, it's a little bit irritating. It hurts my ears. I have asthma. It's not fun, but it's a lot more fun than having a serious respiratory virus. And I'm hoping that this can remain as accessible as possible to as many people as possible, and we make sure that everyone counts.
Thank you. And what have you accomplished in your role or during your time at the CSU so far that shows you'd be a successful advocate for students?
Absolutely. I probably my biggest source of pride in what I have accomplished so far, because admittedly, there's a number of things that I want to do that, as I expressed, I haven't gotten a chance to do yet because of the annual operating plan. But a few of the things I am extremely excited about is the way I've used this position that I've been elected into to be in communication and build relationships with the people that can make things happen and the people that really care about the issues that are pushing certain students to the side. And the more we build those relationships, which can happen at any point during someone's term, it doesn't have to be, built into something specifically, but the more that we bring these issues to the forefront of decision makers' minds, it's probably the number one way that I have felt like I've had a really strong effect is in my relationship building abilities. When sorry, I saw the chat. Especially during the Trans Day of Remembrance, there was a big shift in the kind of conversations that I was having, where a number of people saw an opportunity to be further educated on the way this type of violence can affect people. And I have had some incredible conversations from there. That's probably the number one thing, is that relationship building.
Thank you. And what is something the CSU isn't currently doing that you wish they were?
I think I went over that a little bit in my initial statement, but I think that the CSU does an amazing job at inviting people to the table. We have all of these liaisons who are, like, we require that they are part of the constituency that they're representing. And I think that that is incredible. And even within groups of marginalized people, there are people that we forget. There are people that are more recognized as, oh, you face oppression, than other groups of people. So for example, like, we have a international students liaison, we've got a queer students liaison. These are all amazing things and I want to keep them. But there's also some people that we don't think about. I have been advocating really strongly with the school, and I'm hoping to continue to move this into my priorities, to make the school more accessible to people with mobility issues. Because currently, if you have a wheelchair, or even something so simple as you're a person with a stroller and you're trying to navigate from the cafeteria up to the BOSA center, like, good luck. Like, so that's the kind of person that I want to invite to the table for a lot more conversation, to make sure that everyone is accounted for, no one is left behind, no one is disposable.
Thank you. And now move on to the closing statement. Just a reminder that if anyone has Q&A questions, to please put them in the chat. And the closing statement is, why should students vote for you?
Thank you. Also, if anyone has any questions later, I have office hours currently, assuming I get reelected. But I think that I have done an amazing job so far as the Vice President of Equity and Sustainability. I care so much about every individual person that I talk to. I don't think you can paint anybody with a broad stroke. Everyone has context, everyone has hopes, everyone has fears. And the kind of grief that people experience when those contexts and those experiences are dismissed, It's heartbreaking. I face it all the time as a queer person, as a disabled person. It's awful. And so I want to do everything that I can in my power to make sure that anyone who is experiencing this kind of dismissal has someone in their corner who is continually advocating for individual cases, but also policy change so that these happen less frequently.
Thank you.
Thanks so much. I appreciate your time today.
You too. It doesn't look like there's any questions, so now I'll be moving on to the Vice President of Student Affairs. Hello.
Hi there.
As with the last position, I believe there's one out of the two candidates running that is here today, so we'll just get started. Could you please introduce yourself, your pronouns, and let us know why you'd be a good candidate for the position of Vice President Student Affairs?
Hi, my name is Sumranjit Kaur, and I'm running for the position for Vice President of Student Affairs. So as my job as a Student Affairs Vice President will be to organize programs and events that help students connect socially. And my main goal will be handling the student issues. As far as I remember from where I came in my school, we didn't have the Student Affairs Committee. And if we had any issues, we can't tell anyone because we don't know who to tell. And we were like, just keep putting to the side. And I don't want that to happen to anyone here. So here, my motive will be to carefully review the matters, discuss them with my colleagues so that we can share important information and discuss about the problem and do what is best for the students. I'll try to resolve the issues as soon as possible because I feel like it's important to resolve them at the early stage so that they avoid being bigger. And I would encourage students to reach me even if they have any small issue regarding anything, and if they feel like that it's pushing them to the side. So I'll do my best regarding that, and thank you for having me.
Thank you. The next question we have for you today is, if you could only accomplish one thing during your term, what would it be, and who in the university would you need to build a relationship with to get it done?
The only thing I would do, if there's a chance, the only thing that I will try to organize as much as activities possible for the students. And I want them to connect socially, even myself. I'll try to just, build relationships as many as possible so that it's better for everyone to engage and talk and do activities together. Yeah.
Thanks. And what is something the CSU isn't currently doing that you wish they were?
Student union is doing their best, but I'll be honest that there is this one thing that I heard from students. It's not me, but I heard from students that there was this issue about this coffee machine that they had, that there's only one. And I was like that. And students were like, they need to have more. And it was kind of a student issue. So I'll request them to have like more of them so that students won't have any issues regarding that. It was just a concern of the students. So just bring that up. Yeah.
Thank you. And now we'll go to the closing statement. Why should students vote for you? And just a reminder, if anyone has any questions, please put them in the chat or the Q&A.
So just wanted to let you know that as a Vice President of Student Affairs, I'll try my best to hear any concerns, and I'll request you to vote for me, as I'll try my best to hear any concern. Even if you have any small issue, I'll encourage you to reach me, and please vote for me. Thanks.
Thank you. It doesn't appear that there are any questions in the Q&A or the chat, so thank you very much. And now we'll move on to the
Thank you.
CSU Vice President, Finance and Services.
It appears we have lost our candidate for Finance and Services a little while ago. So let's perhaps move on to External.
Perfect, sounds good. I'll pass it on to Alicia then, and we can come back to this later.
Perfect, sounds good. Yeah, and as Bridget was saying, just while we're waiting for all of her candidates to get on the stage, if you have a question for any of them, feel free to add it in the chat before their closing statements.
All right, thank you for your patience. We just have so many candidates for this position, and it took a few moments to get them all up there, but we've got them all now. So I would recommend we start with Ariana and go alphabetically.
Perfect, thank you. Okay, so hello everyone. First question, could you please introduce yourself, your pronouns, and let us know why you would make a good candidate for VP External?
Thanks so much, Alicia. So good afternoon, everyone. My name is Ariana Chartrand. I use she, her pronouns. I'm calling you today from the occupied and stolen lands of the Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh nations, which I'm incredibly grateful to call my home as a visitor on these lands. I'm the best candidate for the Vice President External role because I'm an experienced student leader. I know the role, I know the portfolio. I've spent the past year building relationships with the municipal, provincial, and federal government. I don't need the months that it does take to learn how to navigate student advocacy. And I really hope to start my advocacy on day one. And this is building on an existing platform. I also have a ton of student support. So I was elected as the chairperson for the Alliance of BC Students, which represents 80,000 students in the province and 6 different student unions. So my track record does speak for itself. There are students out there that support me. I recognize that as a huge responsibility. And I look forward to hopefully continuing to represent the Capilano Students Union and all of you as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is Lohit and my pronouns is he. So I'm currently it's my 3rd semester and I'm currently studying for VP External. It's my first time, but I know the rules and all because once in my lifetime I've already been as like some position like this in my school. So where I have to like do things connecting with other colleges and like schools to arrange some like common problems to solve them with have a meeting with some governments so that we can resolve those problems, mainly to other regarding fees. And I know over here also the main problem that we are facing is about tuition fees that is increasing by yearly. And so I think I will be a very good candidate for that because I have a little bit experience regarding that to talk with the governments and all. So thank you so much for that.
Perfect, thank you. And Sophia, could you please go next?
Hi guys, my name is Sophia. My pronouns are she and her. I'm the current Capilano Communication Association president, and I really wanted to take it up a step and instead of just advocating for the School of Communications, advocate for the greater university community. I have a lot of government experience, seeing as my day job is with the federal government. And so with that, A lot of my priorities include childcare, financial aid, mental health, and really just promoting the overall student interest, whether that be Indigenous affairs, climate rallies like we had in 2018. And amongst other things, definitely a priority for me is going to be the capping tuition fees for international students. So these are my my platform points, and I really want to exemplify that I do have the experience within CSU government, within the federal, provincial government, and also just advocating for minorities through my nonprofit volunteering. So nice to be here, guys.
Perfect, thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is Yaira. Pronouns are she. This is my second term. I'm in the legal assistant program currently. This would be my first time running. I do have a background in some politics. I've worked campaigns in civil and provincial elections. I've also done a lot of advocacy work through various organizations. And it's one of my passions that I really enjoy doing, and I would like to continue that. I'm still kind of, I guess, talking to a lot of students, seeing what their interests and what's important to them. So I'd like to, I guess, kind of build my platform around that. I also know that it's, I guess, networking is one of my skills. So I know that, I guess, in this kind of field, it is as much who you know as well as what you know. So I feel that's one of my strengths. So I hope to use that to my advantage. Thank you.
Okay, hi to everybody. I'm Francisco Rasco Cato. I'm an international student here at KPU. Let me tell you why should you vote for me, okay? I'm a lawyer. I'm a lawyer with experience, and also I'm a computer law specialist. I have been working for the Argentinian government for the past 10 years. So I have real experience on this, giving advice on digital signature and computer law as well. I have been working for the executive branch, for the chief of the cabinet of ministers in the national Argentinian government. So I know how to deal with politicians and how to run and implement stuff, okay, every decision. So I have been drafting agreements, resolutions, even decrees signed by the president of Argentina. And one day, my boss told me, you should go to give some lectures abroad, okay, like in other provinces. So I was doing lectures on digital signature. And one day he told me, there's an opportunity to go abroad. So he sent me to Chile. And that flight was like, that trip was the first I drafted and negotiated the first international agreement between Argentina and Chile, okay, in the digital recognition, in the mutual recognition of digital signatures. Then I've been to Uruguay and finally to Brazil. And in Brazil, I also negotiated an international agreement between countries, okay? I'm not talking about something else, I'm talking about countries. And that agreement was signed by the presidents of Argentina, Brazil, Paraguay, and Uruguay for the mutual recognition of digital signatures. That was the first multilateral agreement in South America for the Mercosur. It's the southest market in South America. Here you have the NAFTA with Canada, United States, and Mexico. So I had the experience, I had the knowledge, I know how to make agreements, I know how to deal, I know how to negotiate. That's why here at this position, I will be allowed to negotiate with politicians, make our lives easier, really implement things so can improve our lives. Our lives as students need to be easier, okay? So that's why, and I'm really commit to improve our lives. I have a lot of plans, and when we could discuss this later or right now, I don't care. But anyway, that's why you should vote for me, okay?
Thank you. So our next question is for Sophia and Ariana. Because you have both been with the CSU for a while, what have you accomplished during your time so far that shows you would be a successful advocate for students? Please be a bit more specific this time. Sophia, would you like to go first?
Yeah, sure. All right, you guys. So like I said, I was the president of, well, I am the outgoing president of the Communication Association. And so specifically what I've done is that, number one, I brought back the association. So in case you guys didn't know, the association was actually dormant for the last year and because of COVID. And so a couple of my friends are saying like, hey, like, how are we, everyone had these cool events, like the legal association has these awesome events. They're doing non-for-profit work. Like, how can we get involved? So I was like, you know what? Let me hop on this. So I hopped on it and I brought back the association and I got an amazing team. I put it together and together we've been able to host events. We've been able to get the voice of communications grads from CapU out there. And we've been able to bring in former alumni and industry experts to really build that connection through our small school of communications and the greater industry. So, yeah.
Thank you.
I can speak a little bit about what I've been able to do this year. So as the incumbent vice president external, I've been doing a lot of provincial advocacy. Earlier this year, I organized and coordinated this first ever student climate action initiative, which was a collective of student unions from across the province coming together to talk about taking climate action. And that looks like divestment. I was very intentional about having Indigenous activists and advocates as our keynote speakers to really amplify these voices, as well as recognizing that, yes, we are the Capilano Students Union, but we're part of a much broader community as BC, as the country, as a global community. I've also been lobbying both federally and provincially, specifically on getting funding for ending sexualized and gender-based violence on campuses and in post-secondary spaces. I was part of a consultation process to submit to the Standing Committee of Finance to talk about the Here to Talk mental health program, to talk about student financial aid. And more recently, I've been working on a campaign to support international students in addressing the unregulated fee increases annually, but as well as taking another look at the hourly working permits that are on the visas right now at 20 hours a week. So these are things that I've started, they're nowhere near done. So I'm really hoping to keep building on this because these things do take time. And I've really spent the last year building a really solid foundation for these projects to take off. And I guess the last thing I'd say is I'm an early childhood educator and very passionate about affordable childcare. I got the CSU as well as a few other student unions to endorse the $10 a day childcare plan. And I hope to continue working to make sure we have affordable childcare for students with dependents.
Okay, thank you so much. And our next question is for all of our candidates today. Do you have an example of a time you've been able to use a relationship you've built to affect positive change? Not necessarily a government relationship, but rather using your interpersonal skills more broadly. And Yahira, would you mind going first this time?
Sure. I guess the first one that pops into my head is I was working at, as in the child section or child minding section of a gym that I used to work at. And when I went there, there was a lot of children that were like upset and crying. And at the time, I also had my own daycare that I was running separately. And I noticed that the gym didn't have a lot of funding. So I asked my manager if it would be possible to get something to the budget to be able to do something more for the kids besides just like TV and a couple of balls. They didn't have it in the budget at the time, but because my daycare was known in the community, I was able to reach out to other parents and other daycares for donations, and I was able to bring those in, and we were able to double the amounts of clients that were coming in because of the quality of the childcare.
Thank you so much. And Lohit, same question for you.
So I have not done like so much things here in Canada, but there's an example of I've done in my high school in India. So as a vice president of like some student affairs in India, so I have some my personal links with other schools. So there were some teachers that I were like well known of me. So I just discussed with them like there are some students who want some competition so they can get their like where they stand in what are their capability of studies, maybe in some sport activities or something. So so I just talk with them to have some like some let's come together some like 10 to 12 schools and have some competitions of various sports activities and studies where students can show their some talents and know what they are up to. So yeah, it comes up to be a very brilliant idea for me. So because some students are very happy because they have to compete with other students and they can show some their skills that they were not able to show to some at a high level. So because we like broadcast it also, there are some broadcasting like facilities in India that we are partnering with so that they can show the students' talent, and maybe government can also help to lead their talents to a higher level. Thank you.
Thank you. And Francisco, your response, please.
Sure. Let me tell you, when I was representing my country back there in Brasilia, it was an amazing experience. Okay, we shared with all the participants from representatives from other countries. I'm talking about Paraguay, Uruguay, and Brazil as well, trying to start drafting this agreement with it all together. So let's imagine that you have one country and that's difficult, and try to increase that difficulty by 4, okay? So any country has their own way to settle down, their own branches, and how are they going to deal with this. But that's the personal skills of, for example, in my situation, when you are representing a country, it goes in alphabetic order, like here. So Argentina went first, and I had the pleasure to represent my country and the honor. But there was an agenda, okay? Like you were need to provide and have points and everything. And if we were going to keep with that agenda order, that agreement was not going to be able to make it, okay? Because we need to address it differently. So I had the word, and I started by all of us making a reasonable agreement so we can share, and that's the way we change. I tried to change the way that agenda was made for, and that's the way we succeed, like creating and having everybody sharing what do we have in common, okay? And that's how we ended, okay, with that draft that 2 months later, it turned into an international agreement with all the countries, signed by the presidents of each country. It was insane. But this takes really huge effort with all the parties involved, and interpersonal skills as well, because you had to learn. And also, let me tell you something else. 3 countries speak Spanish, and the other one speaks Portuguese. Okay, and even though that difference, we could make it. Okay, so anyway, it's all about interpersonal skills and the way we should succeed. That was it was in our we needed to do that, but that's the way to succeed. That the only way is like to have things in common, speak, and try to make it work. So it's all about interpersonal skills and the will and the power of every country to make it. That's it.
Thank you. Ariana?
Thank you, Alicia. And Mackenzie, this is a great question because I really don't think positive change happens if we're not doing it through relationship. And that's something I've definitely noticed working with other student unions and organizations across the province. So being able to communicate and have relationships with these other student leaders is how the most effective change happens. Because yes, we are the Capilano Students Union, but particularly when you're working with the government, you need as many student voices rallied and unified and mobilized to actually get change done. So by building these personal relationships, knowing that you can rely on your student leaders, regardless of where they go to school, all students deserve representation. It shouldn't matter which institution they're going to. And so the most impactful relationships I've been building have been with other student unions across the province, as well as with the Early Childhood Educators of British Columbia, the Coalition of Childcare Advocates. These are all people trying to make the province more equitable and to reduce barriers for individuals and particularly students. So I've really been building solid foundations for these relationships. And I do see a really exciting future to continue our projects together.
Thank you. And Sophia.
Thank you. Yeah, so a time when I've been able to use a relationship I've built to affect positive change. When I was in my day job about a year and a half ago, I was just networking as you do in any kind of meeting format. I'm sure everybody has done that. And I met this lovely woman named Allie, and we hit it off, and we were talking about, yeah, like we really want to get more female representation in politics. And then I didn't talk to her for like 8.5 months. Well, let me tell you. About half a year later, we met again, and she introduced me to this program called Equal Voice. And this is the nonprofit that I talked about a bit earlier, and they try and get more female and non-binary voices in politics, whether that be campaigning themselves, being on a campaign, and stuff like that. Within the past year, we then revamped the British Columbian chapter of Equal Voice. So I have this little pattern of kind of bringing back dormant chapters, but we really use our personal relationship to work off each other's skills so that we can host events and host networking sessions and panels for the women in British Columbia to really meet each other and also meet professionals in the political sphere. And through that, of course, we have job fairs, and that's just paid it forward to people who have worked so hard.
Thank you. All right, our next question, again, for all of the candidates. So the pandemic has been a tough time for everybody, but international students have been especially hit hard during this time. What would you lobby governments for in regards to national student or international student support? And Francisco, we'll start with you this time.
Sure. I'm sorry, which question is the question? Is the other one, okay? I'm just reading the question, and you said something about international, and it's different from the ones that it's in the post there, okay?
Would you like me to repeat the question?
Sure, please.
Okay, so what would you lobby governments for in regards to international student support?
Sure, okay. As a lawyer, trust me, okay? I know the small print, and I don't like the small print. So the first thing that I would like to change is that small print. There are some labs, okay? There are some things hidden or that are not clear for international students, such as when are you able to work for 40 hours, okay? And if not, you are afraid of doing that. And you know that you had that summer session, but anyway, when school is closed, okay, you are allowed to take those 40 hours. But I think that as a students union and also Canada as well, that's why I need to speak with politicians, because I know how to deal with change and how to improve things within technology. Okay, that's what I have doing there in Argentina, and I think that I'm able to do it right here, right now. And the things like I need to provide things. Okay, I need to provide solutions for people really in need of clarification of ideas. Okay, we are not allowed to think about, oh, should we do this? Should we do that? Are we afraid of? Okay, things have to be clear. And also in Canada.ca, that is the government website, as well in Capilano, okay? But I'm thinking on the larger scale, okay? I'm thinking like globally, okay? This is for all international students, not only the ones at CABU, okay? So that's the way to address it, okay? So the first measure is make it clear everything regarding our students' permit and how we are allowed or not allowed to work, and that's one of the measures, okay?
Thank you. Sophia, what would you lobby governments for in regards to international student support?
I think the biggest thing that I would do is capping international tuition fees. So in BC, domestic tuition fees get capped at 2%, which obviously we anyway pay. I say we because I am a domestic student. I do pay a lot less than an international student would pay, and it's by an exorbitant amount. So I find it so unreasonable that domestic students, for just the place of, hey, I decide to go to school down the road versus a school in the States or something like that. I find it unreasonable that everyone internationally has to pay already a huge amount of money compared to me, but then they also aren't protected year to year, because you come here for, say, a 2-year program, a 4-year program, and every year your fees go up and up and up without any end in sight or any cap in sight. I find it unreasonable. I think it's very unfair because people are coming for an education just as I'm going for an education. So international tuition fees and a cap on those is definitely my priority.
Okay, thank you. And next we'll go to Ariana.
Thanks, Alicia. So I've been thinking about this a lot lately. I have mentioned that this is actually something I'm actively working on. And I think there's 3 main things to really bring to the federal government. One would be addressing the 20-hour limit that international students are able to work. It doesn't make sense for the government, and it's also very discriminatory. We live in a province where housing is so unaffordable that 20 hours, no matter what you're really making hourly, is not enough. And that does absolutely need to change. But that also couples with increasing and refining our hybrid learning model. So we really need to make sure that students, regardless of where they are internationally, have the flexibility to attend in person or to remain virtual for whatever reason they need. And then the last one being more accountability mechanisms. So we know that there are so many unregulated things regarding international student education. As mentioned before, it was the unregulated fee increase, but it's also accountability measures for students who work for cash because they cannot sustain a living, school experience with that 20 hours. So there needs to be a lot more consultation with international students because it's not me who is experiencing this. So we need to create committees and we need to create hubs for international students to gather, to build these cases, and then to have folks like myself in with them lobby to the provincial government.
Thank you. And Lohit?
So there, according to me, there are some 2 points that need to be looked after. The provincial government or the federal government should look after the MSP because the MSP do not cover so many things that they should. As an international student, we have to pay like $75 a month, and it doesn't cover too many things that it needs to be. Like recently, one of my friend had met with an accident, and all the cost was not covered by the MSP. A little bit, I think, just the doctor fees, like something. So it's so very difficult for us to pay that much high medical expenses as well as our tuition fees too. So we can't cover that much. I have also faced some problems as an international student. Fees is a very common problem for us. Like it's around, we are paying 4 times than the domestic students, and it's very unequal to us. Why we are paying? We are also just getting the studies as the domestic difference. Maybe some you can there are some taxes also. Why should they should be equal? So I think the provincial government or the federal government should look after this matter, because it's a lot of students are there who has to take some students loan in Canada or maybe in their home countries. Their parents are taking some students loan to like get them some better education, but after getting like education, they are not able to like pay off their loans because the interest rate and all. So I think mainly the medical expenses and the tuition fees is the largest problem for an international student that needs to be like reduced. Thank you.
Thank you. And Yahira, finally.
Thank you. I agree with what everyone said. It's I guess been the one thing that I've thought about most when I was, I guess, going through everything. Vancouver is an extremely expensive city as is, even with working full time. I remember I was working 3 jobs to try to make ends meet in Vancouver. And even that's, I guess the medical thing is also really important. I ended up getting injured by overworking. And that way, and it ended up setting me back. And I know that a lot of other people likely experience the same thing. Now, on top of the tuition being a lot higher than just the domestic students, it's an added stress factor, not only on their finances, probably also on their mental health as well. So I think there does need to be a cap, because especially in this, like, I don't know how international students would be able to just make things meet with their limited amount of days that they're and hours that they're able to work, plus their expenses. So it is something that I feel that they have a right to affordable education as well. And I guess that's something I would want to, I guess, be one of the first things I would like to handle.
Perfect. Thank you. And we have one last audience question. How do you plan to connect with oppressed communities such as Indigenous peoples, peoples with disabilities, trans people, etc., to further their flourishing? And Lohit, we'll start with you this time.
So we should make a committee as a CSU students committee. We should go to our college committees, the president of the college or some federal governments to make some plans or something. They should when a college is college is making a building, so there should some plans that federal government should made it compulsory that there should be a feature which can be used by like disabled person or some indigenous person, so that they can't live they can't feel like we are living behind those other students or something. So because of some disability, because this can lower their morale, they can lose their hopes. So I just want to do like request to the government and our college facilities to make some for good plans or facilities, so that they can also feel, yeah, we are also equal and we are also getting we can do this. They can increase their hopes and morale. They can build up their they can build up their morale that they have lost already because of some problems they have in their lives.
Thank you. And Yahira.
For me, I think I have noticed that there's, I guess, in the older, I guess, buildings, there's a lot of restrictions due to stairs for people with disabilities, even including the school. I noticed that there's a lot of I guess there's limited ways to get around if you're, I guess, you have either knee problems or you're in a wheelchair. So I guess that would probably have to go, I guess, through some kind of I guess furthering of constructions or something within the school. For the Indigenous people, I find that kind of trying to help them connect more with their roots and understand where they're coming from. I have a lot of friends who I guess are starting to reconnect with who, I guess, what their backgrounds and what their roots are. And this is something that I myself also had to do because I was not reconnected to my own roots as well. And I feel that that really helps you understand where you came from and who you are as a person. And I feel that from people with from any background, that's really beneficial. And I guess for trans people, I would suggest more activities where we could do a lot of events where people just come together as a group to be able to participate in something together, find similarities instead of differences within each other. And I feel that that probably helps strengthen us as a community as a whole.
Thank you. Ariana, would you like to go next?
Sure. I love this question because I have so many answers. One is that I have a lived experience as a Black woman, as an Indigenous woman, as a financially independent student, as someone with chronic health issues. Like, I've been living a lot of these things, but I also know that without consultation, without focus groups, without, talking to people and sort of hearing their lived experience, none of what we do really matters unless it's informed by the student experience. But that also means compensating people for their time and for their labor. What's not okay is to ask someone to unload and to offer you all of this insight and then not to honor that however we possibly can. And the CSU does a great job at that. I just want to continue doing that. But this is really where I think my lived experience is invaluable, because we need more Black and Indigenous voices in these government relations spaces. And I'm so grateful that I have those lived experiences in particular to bring with me, but also through the consultations with other students as well.
Thank you. And Francisco?
Sure. I hope you can hear me well with my face mask, but I'm in a room, okay? Anyway, the only way to address situations and issues with any kind of group is to listen, okay? And to engage and provide solutions. It's the only way to succeed, okay? It's the commitment of everything. If you don't listen what people are telling you, if you don't listen, if you want to, there's no way of commitment, okay? So that's the only way to address any kind of issues that any kind of student regarding any disabilities, or even though any kind of problem, okay, as well. That's the only way to succeed as a politician, not here in every place. So the only way, if you have any problems, I know how to try to make it easier, okay? Let's deal with it and let's solve everything. Let's find a solution, and I will put all my best to do it. Okay, that's it.
Thank you. And Sophia?
Yeah, so I would love to host bi-weekly or monthly community forums with the help of the other CSU liaisons in order to make sure that we really prioritize the direct comments and concerns that we're receiving from students' voices. I think that, you can use social media and you can post about it and you're bound to get some answers, but I think that nothing really beats a in-person forum. That being said, of course, we'll have the option of a Zoom just for accessibility needs, but I really think that hosting these events and promoting these events through social media rather than having them on social media really plays a really important part in making sure that we have the most accurate voices and we're not leaving anything open to interpretation.
Thank you. And finally, we have our closing statements. So why should students vote for you as VP External? And Sophia, we'll start with you.
Oh, we're back. All right. That was quick. Well, hi guys, one more time. My name is Sophia Cara, and I am hopefully getting your vote to be the next VP External. Like I've talked about during this entire past hour, I have a lot of government experience and experience for advocating for minorities through my nonprofit work. I've been a student at CAP and the current Communication Association president, so I have a lot of CSU experience. My platform points include capping tuition fees for international students, promoting the general student interest, having affordable healthcare through a partnership with the federal government, financial aid, mental health, and also just making sure that, you know, the standards of residence in the CAPU residence, I really want to make sure that that is a priority for the next year. So thank you for having me here, and I look forward to either seeing you on campus or meeting you online in the next couple of years.
Thank you. And Yahira, why should students vote for you?
Hi. So as I've mentioned before, I feel that my passion really drives my commitment to these causes. I'm also very easy to approach if anyone ever has any issues. I've been told I'm really easy to open up to, but I guess I'll let you guys determine that. But I would love to hear feedback whenever you guys have any issues, and hopefully give you guys a voice within the community as well. Thank you.
Thank you. And Francisco, why should students vote for you?
Sure. I think that students should vote for me because I have the passion, knowledge, experience, and skills needed to represent CSU with foreign affairs. Okay, like I told you before, I'm a lawyer. I had the honor to represent a country. Okay, I represented Argentina, so I had the knowledge and the skills needed to represent CSU and be able to make changes that will provide benefits, okay, for everybody. Okay, that's the only way.
Thank you. And we'll go to Lohit. Why should students vote for you for VP External?
Hi again, my name is Lohit Goyal. So I think you all should vote for me because I am having some like personal connections with other colleges, student unions, which can help our student union, and I can represent my CAPU students to those to the government so that they can help us to like reduce some problems that we are having currently. So I think I will be a better option for this position. And thank you so much for having me today over here.
Thank you. And Ariana, why should students vote for you for VP External?
I have worked incredibly hard over this last year. I was elected through a pandemic and have had to be incredibly resilient and innovative on how to continue advocacy efforts while the whole world was changing. I want my last year as a CAPU student spent on doing what I love most, which is working for all of you. And I have put countless hours, weekends. I've done meetings on public transit. I really get excited about this kind of stuff, and I'm truly passionate about it. I want affordable housing, affordable childcare, climate action, and addressing tuition fees. But I can't do it without your support. So I am passionate about the work, but I'm counting on all of you to support me in re-electing you or re-electing me as your Vice President External this year. So tell your classmates, tell your friends, tell random students on campus, vote for me because I'm an experienced leader, I'm a passionate advocate, and I'm a student who wants to make as many students as possible feel supported, represented, and fought for at CAPU. Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you to all of our candidates for VP External today. And finally, last but not least, can we get all of our candidates for CSU president to the stage? All right, hello everybody. So, all right, so we will start with our first question. Could you please introduce yourself, your pronouns, and let us know why you make a good candidate for CSU president?
Perfect. Thank you, Alicia. My name is Devin Kular. Pronouns are he, him. I'm involved with multiple roles at the university. Through CapU Student Affairs, I organize engagement and events. I'm a physical health mentor with the community with CapU Rec. And for the past couple of years, I've been grateful enough to be a residence advisor at university residence. And through all my roles and initiatives at Capilano, I've met hundreds of students and had the opportunity to make a significant difference in people's lives. And this has been insurmountable to my overall development, not only as a student, but as a human being. Over the past year, I've chased bigger and grander opportunities to challenge myself, and being president would be the next step in my experiences at CAP before I graduate. I want to take a strategic approach to utilizing our budget to reduce the barriers that both students face mentally and physically to being able to participate in events. And my experiences with helping people in the community, being confident in myself and having leadership positions previously are going to give me the chance to succeed in this role to the best of my ability and provide students with the support they deserve. And that's all for me for my opening statement. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next candidate, please.
Sure, my computer decided that today was a good day to be very, very slow. Hi, everyone. I am Milo Molino. I'm running for re-election as the president of the Capilano Student Union. So I am your current president right now. I've been on the CSU for 2 years. I started as the Women Students Liaison before I realized I'm not actually a girl. I am a non-binary person, and my pronouns are she, her, they, them. Pandemic was a ride, let me tell you that. And I've been the president for the past year. As the president, I were able to actually do a lot of things for make students' lives better, but it's important to understand that the president role in the CSU is to support the board and to steer the organization on the right direction. And by the right direction, I mean the direction that upholds all our bylaws and all the values of the CSU. So I don't directly think about events or can decide anything by myself. The president gives support. The president helps the board as it can, and the president is the spokesperson for the CSU, and that's what I've been doing for the past year. We had many improvements. One of them was in our communication. For example, the proof of that is that we have 32 people running for this election, which is an all-time record. And it's amazing on one side, and on the other side, I'm like, I have more competition, but hey, that's democracy and it's fun. So I've been doing this for a while now. And as a Women Students Liaison, I had some projects for Periods Are For Everyone, for the trans community. I am part of a lot of demographics at CAP. I started here as an international student, so I know what it is to pay $11,820.06, which is what killed me, 6 cents for a tuition. I am queer. I am very femme presenting and identified as a woman for a long time, so I kind of know what sexism looks like basically everywhere. I am also, I don't like this term, but I'm a mature student. This is my second university, and I have tons of experience. The difference is that on the CSU, I can use this, the organization lets me fight for others and not just for me, because I've always been that student in the back of the class that will like, hey, professor, I don't think that's cool. I don't think that's right. But then I would be just fighting for what I believed and alone. And on the CSU, I can actually have a bunch of amazing people doing this with me, and we can use that for make everyone's lives better.
Thank you. And Karen Deep, could you please introduce yourself, your pronouns, and let us know why you make a good candidate for CSU president?
Hi, my name is Karandeep Singh. My pronouns are he, him. I'm an international student here. It's my first semester only. So obviously I'm not much experienced, but I know why I'm best because my mindset is there, surely. I know what are the faces faced by international as well as domestic students. I obviously know that life is not easy for everyone, but still international students who are away from their homeland faces more problems. They don't know where to live. They don't know where to earn. They don't know who will make food for them, and a lot of stuff more. I have to travel 2 hours from South Vancouver to here, and many more international students come from Surrey. Like we have a lot of traveling time. So it's not obviously a fault of university, but I'm just saying like what issues I faced here. So I want to change them. Basically, my main purposes are to provide more scholarship policies if it's possible, because I don't know what will be powers, what will power I will have, like if I were able to ask university to introduce more universities, but if I will have, then I definitely go for it. And secondly, I would like to introduce more clubs, basically for science club. See, it's my second month here in university. It's first Jan and second February. It's now March. Yeah. So I didn't. I know everyone has creative ideas in mind, but there's very less discussion. No one talk about their ideas. I have written 20 ideas. Like I'm giving example of myself because I'm very interested in physics, basically. So I have many ideas, but I have no one to discuss. I don't know who is also interested in same field. I want discussion so we can grow, because when there's a discussion, miracles happens. So basically, second, my idea is to introduce more clubs, basically science club, athletics club. There is a very less events I've still found. Maybe there will be more in summer, but still it's less. Then I will provide a vision for more community events for all communities. Like how they want them to arrange. Every will be done by the community student union. And obviously, there are many other problems that I have a long list. Like doing small stuffs, introducing 24-hour launch, which will be available for all students. Because I know one day I am standing outside in the rain and I have to wait for 1 hour till everything is closed in the university campus. It was a month of January, and so it's feeling cold. And yeah, these are my basic ideas.
Thank you. For our incumbent, Maya, we have a question for you. What have you accomplished as CSU president so far that shows that you would be a successful advocate for students in the role?
Sure. I'm not going to say that I accomplished anything. I was the president, I was serving as the president, but this is always a group effort. Of course, there's some advocacy that I do personally, and this is usually with the university executives. I think the most important ones for me, the way I see it, was during COVID, when we were with the whole thing, are we going back, are we not going back? It was because we came to the university and told them that we needed more communication, and we needed a communication that was fast and not necessarily clean and beautiful as the statements that they usually post, that we started to actually have more communication from the students directly, from the university directly to the students, and that we had the university communication to come to us so we could see if that was bringing up what the student issues that we wanted to see. So that was one of the first things that I think it was like a very big win for students, because it could put like everyone a little bit more at ease. We also increased the consultation with students, like every time there's something that is a little bit more pressing, or that could be like a point of contention, we have more consultation on our like social media and things like that. There was a shift actually on our communication strategy, and it was a huge growth from what used to be on the CSU before I started my term. Right now we have like 80% of our communications focusing on interaction with students, and only 20% focusing on like call to actions. So this is what made everything improve. Again, we have 32 people running on this election, and we have like way more people on our Instagram and knowing what we are doing because of that, because now we have like reels, we have Zofia there talking to people, we have the treasure hunts. So all those things are together with the representation and onto the strategies. And we changed a few things. Like right now, yes, you can go and discuss your ideas with the CSU. There's a part on our agenda on our board of directors meetings that you can go and just talk for 5 minutes. If you're like a student and you want to talk about anything with us, you can just go there and request those 5 minutes. It's something that it's there. So those communications devices like are open, they're there. The second part of this communication is just to make students know exactly what the CSU does and how. And this is something that it wasn't on our annual operating plan, but we had like to unfortunately let it go a little bit because of COVID and how we had to deal with more pressing things. So we had like to leave this one as a recommendation for the next year, for the next operation plan, as something that we want to keep forward.
Thank you. And for our other two candidates, as newcomers to the CSU, how would you cope with the learning curve of becoming president with little to no experience within the CSU? And we will start with Karandeep first.
Yeah, see, like I already said it's my first semester, and a month ago I didn't know the ways, like which way goes to university library, which way goes to FIR building. Still, now I'm such experienced that I'm going to stand for the post of president in CSU elections. So I'm sure that I will be cope up everything within a month, and that will be enough for me. Obviously, I don't have such experience earlier, but still, I know how to do the things because I have a good mindset. I know what to do first and what to do afterwards, which one is more important, which one is not. And see, I work on a gas station there, so we know how to do things. Like we have to co up with the person, we have to do negotiations and many things else. So I have that skill. I know how to make a deal, how to do something. That's why I know I will do it.
Thank you.
And for me, I've had the ability to work over 20 different jobs over the past few years. Ever since I graduated high school, I was continually looking for new experiences. So I've overcome the learning curve multiple times. There's no exact number you can put on it, but I've done incredible work over the past years. And with my experience in residence and working with people, I've built up my communication skills. So I think the biggest thing you can do when coming to such a major role like this and having to do what Maya's done so incredibly over the past year is you really have to communicate with people, you have to connect with people, and you have to be willing to learn. So over the first few months of training, I think that's the most important thing, seeking help from people who have run previously, have owned positions, and just keeping a growth mindset, which is what I've done with all my other jobs and what I'll continue to do with this role, just to really succeed and learn from the people that have done it previously. So just being open-minded and understanding that this isn't an easy job. It takes a lot to bring together a team, to coordinate a whole university in student affairs. It's not easy. So just being open to the fact that you're gonna have to put in a lot of work and stay committed to it because that's what it takes to be president of the CSU.
Thank you. And all right, our next question for all the candidates. Has the CSU done enough, in your opinion, to address Indigenous student concerns on campus? Why or why not? And if not, what would you tangibly do to improve this if you are elected? Let's start with Devon this time.
Perfect, thank you, Alicia. And I don't think we've done enough. Why? Because if we've done enough, then we wouldn't have to enact this 10-year plan in order to incorporate Indigenous relief services and funding in order to support these students. If we had those in place before, then we wouldn't be making this whole plan. The government wouldn't be making a plan, and we wouldn't have to be dealing with the reparations we are today. So, of course, it's a continual process of really respecting where we are, the land that we are on, the Musqueam, Tsleil-Waututh, and Stelo nations. It's a whole continuous process. So we haven't done a lot yet. Well, we haven't done enough, but we've been continuing doing a lot of work. Capilano, I think, out of a lot of schools in British Columbia, is really going above and beyond, and we really inherit that as a small student body. But of course, there's always continuous work. So to say we've done enough is not the right answer, but to say we've done significantly bigger difference is in the right path. So I don't think we're there yet, but of course, with each year, I know Capilano will get better.
Thank you. And Maya, your response?
I would go with we've been doing a lot. Is it enough? No, nothing is enough for years of genocide and colonization, and unless we give the land back, nothing is ever enough. That's just a fact. But we have been working on that a lot. We have now a staff person on the CSU that deals with the relations with our host nations and our relationship with the Keosauquen Center, which is something that we implemented this year. And it's literally to help us navigate how to improve our relationship with the center and with Indigenous students, so we can know what they want and how we can help, because we can't do, we don't want to do the colonizer thing. We don't want to like have things from above. We need like to be a part of it. We need to ask them to let us in, and then we can see what they need and what they need from us, and then we be open for that. We can't keep upholding colonialist ways of doing things. And one example of that is that we just had a conversation about changing for the next elections how the Indigenous Students Liaison is chosen. Right now, the Indigenous Students Liaison is elected in the general election like everyone else, and that's a very colonial way of doing it. It's not indigenized. It's something that is a barrier for Indigenous students to come and be part of the CSU and have their voices with us. And we just had a conversation to change that, and this is on the way. So that is going to be changed as it is with the BSU right now, the Black Student Union, as a constitution. So they will be able to, among themselves, deliberate the way they want and choose the representative and come to be part of the CSU and actually like bring their perspectives. And that's what we need. We need like more concrete actions for this.
Thank you. And Karandeep, your response?
Yeah. See, obviously CSU have done a lot of things. I have just researched them. Like I have researching about CSU, what other CSU plans about Indigenous students and what they did. See, but a well-wisher person is always want something to be perfect. For a perfect CSU, for perfect university, and for perfect future of Indigenous students, I want something more to be done. Like they are less involved in many activities. I haven't found many of them. There can be more policies and more schemes that can be introduced for them. We can introduce special education policies for them, basically, if they really required them. Like Maya said, I agree with that point. We really ask them what they required. That's a great point. Yeah.
Thank you. And seeing no audience questions at the moment, we will move on to closing statements. So why should students vote for you for CSU president? And Karandeep, since you're starting, we'll start with you.
Yeah. Actually, I'm not saying I'm perfect all of them, because Maya has a great experience. Devin is also great, and like they have also great experience. But I'm saying like my mindset is different. I have seen everything from a different angle, like from a perspective of international students. I have spent like I have to do night shift, and then I have to do midterms in the morning. It's like very tough. And yeah, and university is not at fault, but still we can introduce many different things. Like we can introduce something like free coffee or basic snacks, like not it's so much expensive, but just a basic one. So they can just get some like different thing, like they can have something boost to just to have good for exams. We can increase cafeteria timing, we can increase something like that. So I am not know how to deal with politics basically, but I know like I have small plans. Like I don't have some bigger plans like everyone is saying how to deal with things, but I want small changes that will affect, those effects will be large for the students. And my points are like based on students. I go to a person in university and ask what they want. They want a longer cafeteria timing. They want special schemes like something that will 24-hour opens, like some room area where they can sit, or even they can spend night if they are not able to go to home at night, because sometimes transit service is not available. Sometimes they have to do a job nearby. There are many these things. Like my plans are these, but their benefit will be theirs for students. That's why I think they should vote me.
Thank you. Devon, why should students vote for you for CSU president?
Thank you, Alicia. So being president of the CSU allows me the opportunity to take all my leadership skills I've acquired from my life experience and directly help the student body. I want to provide a voice for the students who don't have the confidence to speak up for themselves, and allow every student the opportunity to participate in the same life-changing experiences that I have. My knowledge of the law, being a legal studies student, and ability to work alongside hardworking individuals would make me a suitable candidate for the CSU president. I can understand the bylaws, cooperate with the team, and remain focused on keeping the CSU at the same successful caliber that it's currently at. I just want to thank you all for your time, the Capilano Courier, the CSU, and just a big congratulations to everyone running, Maya, Karandeep, and everyone else. We're all just looking to make a difference at Capilano, which is incredible feat enough. So I thank you all for that and your time. And that's it for me.
Thank you. And Maya, why should students vote for you for CSU president?
I have the experience. I have a lot of experience, and let's say that the learning curve is quite a curve. So if I get elected, because I've been on this for a while now, I know our bylaws, our procedures backwards and with my eyes closed at this point. I can just call it a Tuesday and keep going and just keep working and doing things for students. I'm very approachable. If you stop me in the corridor, I will stop and listen. Unless I'm running to the bathroom, I will be there. I've been working hard to bring the voices of students, but not just that. What I think that we need is to help students find their voice, and then we can amplify that. Because some students don't know where to go, don't know how to do it, and we can help with that. And that's one of the things that we are doing. We are having a student rights campaign right now. It's going to come in the next weeks. So I think it's important to let students find their voices, and then we can amplify them and we can help them and see how they can do that. Again, I have a lot of experience. I'm a Latinx student. I was an international student. I am queer. I know about so much of what the students go through. This is my second university, so I still remember the struggles of the first one when it was totally different from this one. But I do understand most of what the students need. And what I don't understand, I will definitely rely on the board and on the people that were elected by students to have their voices represented, so I can build on that. I'm also already very used to the university executives and how to deal with them and what's the best way to approach them and make them actually listen, which I think it's an advantage, want it or not. And yeah, I have the time, I have the skills, and I have a lot of passions. Oh God, I have passion for this. I live and breathe CSU. I had the opportunity to move to another university, to maybe go to anthropology because it's something that I really like, but it was no university has what we have here in the CSU. No university has this relationship that the CSU has with the university. We have a direct link to the university. I have monthly meetings with Paul Dangerfield, which is the president of the university. So we have this direct link. And when I thought about moving or staying here, I decided to stay at CAP, because at CAP we have more opportunities to make things actually better. We can actually make the difference. So yeah, those are just a few reasons that students should vote for me.
All right, thank you. And thank you to all of you for being here today, and to all of our other candidates as well for being here and joining us. And good luck to all of you. I will pass it back over to you, John, for final conclusions.
Thank you so much, Alicia and Bridget, and thank you to the candidates and the attendees at today's forum. You can watch all of these again on the CSU's YouTube channel, or that will also be linked at any 2022 election article on the Capilano Courier website. If you didn't know already, voting will take place on the 15th through 17th online. Ballots will be sent to your CapU emails. Unofficial results will be published on the evening of the 17th. Follow Capilano Courier and Cap Student Union on major social media for updates. Thanks again, everyone, and we'll see you at the polls.